That's Matisse, and this is a Picasso. She's a nightclub singer.
Jaw-dropping just barely describes the art.
A Miro?
A Moreau.
In billionaire energy executive Bill Koch's Palm Beach home.
This is amazing to see a Monet water lilies in someone's house.
I know.
You may have heard of his brothers, Charles and David, who bankrolled political causes.
And then you have these Remingtons.
Yeah,
Bill Koch is a man willing to spend a great deal of money on the best of everything, including wine. He is also a man who doesn't like getting cheated.
What have we here?
Well, we have a selection of my fake wines. For 421 bottles that are definitely fake, I've spent $4.5 million. So that's a pretty big swindle.
What we're talking about here is a world where a bilked billionaire,
It's fake, the label's fake.
says he spent nearly twice as much on fake wine as the average college graduate will make in a lifetime.
Here's a nice old bottle, 1737 Lafite. But look at the other side, 1737 Chateau Lafite Rothschild. You know, the Rothschilds didn't own Lafite in 1737. So,
There's still wine in it.
yeah.
Do you have any idea what's actually in it?
Moose piss, or pardon me.
It doesn't take a genius to figure out that it's the money that attracts counterfeiters to these wines, usually from France, Burgundy, or Bordeaux. The older, the better.
The label is pretty good.
Is it a phony label or is it a real label?
No, it's a phony label.
Unless you have a good magnifying glass and know what you're seeing, it's easy to be fooled.
So this bottle purports to be a bottle of 1961 Chateau Lafite Rothschild.
Which would cost...
$3,000, $3,500.
Maureen Downey is a San Francisco wine consultant and wine detective.
The problem with this bottle is that when we look at this cork where it says 19, the 6 has been squished. It's all squished up because it's been reinserted. And the 1 used to be a 4. So this is not a 1961. So somebody took a 1964, which would only be worth $200 or $300.
What's so special about this particular fake?
It's not bad.
It's not bad at all. Cheers. But it's not 1961 Lafite.
It came from Rudy Kurniawan, who's been described as the Bernie Madoff of the wine world. An Indonesian citizen, he came out of nowhere in the early 2000s in a now infamous pair of auctions. In 2006, he sold $35 million worth of the rare wines he supposedly had collected. The FBI arrested Kurniawan in March 2012. Investigators found a regular fake factory in his home near Los Angeles. Bottles, labels, capsules, glue, a recorking device. A star witness for the prosecution, Bill Koch himself, identified Kurniawan-sourced fakes he bought. On Wednesday, Kurniawan was convicted of fraud and faces up to 40 years in prison. Outlandish as all of this may be, the Rudy Kurniawan case is only the latest controversy over the authenticity of wine. It so happens Koch was involved in another one, equally sensational.
I used to bring people down here and brag and say, you want to see Thomas Jefferson's wine? Well, then when I found out it was fake, now what I have to do is say, come on down and see my fake Thomas Jefferson bottles.
Well, can I see them?
Please. Here is 1787 Mouton THJ.
Thomas Jefferson or not.
Now here's another one, sweet little bottle, which is 1787 Lafite THJ.
Koch owns 4 of them. They were part of a couple of dozen or so, sourced originally to a German, now reputed to be a master counterfeiter. He calls himself Hardy Rodenstock, not his real name. His collection seemed to be so impressive, he made the cover of Wine Spectator magazine.
Even before the auction, the hand-blown amber-green bottle of Lafite 1787 had become the most famous bottle of wine in the world.
The sale of the first so-called Thomas Jefferson bottle in 1985 at Christie's in London was such a big deal that it made the CBS Evening News.
Was it really part of a 1790 order he split with his pal George Washington?
At the time, Christie's said there is an immense amount of circumstantial evidence supporting the ordering of this wine and its identification, but of course, no proof.
Mr. Forbes.
The bottle sold for more than $157,000, a record then, to Christopher Forbes, acting on behalf of his well-known father, Malcolm Forbes of Forbes magazine.
But this is 1784.
In 1988, Bill Koch bought his own Hardy Rodenstock THJ bottles, although not from Christie's, which had never even seen these.
I have 4.
And you spent how much in total?
Somewhere a little less than $400,000.
And there was no question in your mind that this was authentic?
At that time.
Soon, he began to have doubts. Eventually, he hired investigators, including an ex-FBI agent, who informed him his THJ bottles were counterfeit. Those initials, they told him, made with an electric engraving tool, non-existent in the 18th century.
Were you furious?
Yes, I was absolutely very furious. And I said, I'm going after him. If it takes me to the end of the world, I'm going after the fraudster.
How do you go about doing that?
Well, spending a lot of money, unfortunately.
Koch says he spent $25 million so far on the 8 wine-related lawsuits he's filed against Hardy Rodenstock and others.
I want to shine a bright light on this whole fraud to show how bad it is.
We repeatedly attempted to contact Hardy Rodenstock, but received no reply.
11, 12, 13, 14,000. $14,000 here, 14,000.
The prices paid at auction for collectible wines can seem staggering.
Sold at $15,000 to...
But actually, worldwide sales dropped 19% by nearly $100 million last year, industry observers say, because counterfeiting, the Rudy Kurniawan case particularly, has made buyers gun-shy.
This is our first-year barrel room. It holds about 1,000 barrels.
Faking fine wine is rampant and growing, especially in China. One target? California's Opus One, a wine that aspires to the status and price of the most counterfeited French wines.
We have embedded in the top of the capsule very special ink.
So Opus One's CEO, David Pearson, is fighting counterfeiters.
People can see one color and then another.
With a tamper-proof capsule that changes color. And this.
The 2008 and all vintages since then. We put behind the back label a flat chip.
You scan it with your phone.
The chip, once it's scanned, sends a message back to our computer server that the bottle was scanned. It also is capable of geolocating the bottle anywhere in the world.
That's right, like GPS tracking.
I think counterfeiters are very clever, and I think that the technology will shift. Once we put something out, they will adapt to that, and we'll need to change our strategy, and it'll continue onward.
It goes back to the old saying, let the buyer beware.
As for Bill Koch, with more than 40,000 bottles in the cellars of his various homes, he's stopped buying.
I'm tired of the aggravation of being violated by these con artists and crooks.
Has it been worth it to go after these people?
Psychically, probably yes. You know, maybe I'm Don Quixote, attacking windmills of sorts. But to me, it brings me great satisfaction.